Guys, you're not gonna believe. Trees.
AMD has been on a roll. They've just shown a
Barrel
new
roll.
procedural generation technique that reduces
It's a generation technique, guys.
VRAM usage for 3D rendered
Sounds very much like ray tracing, if you
trees
ask me.
from 34.8 gigabytes to
Gigabytes.
just 51 kilobytes using
Kilobytes, bro. Oh my god, they nuked trees.
or graphics
They
and mesh
destroyed
nodes.
trees for me,
This
bro.
technology shifts tree generation from the CPU to the GPU, generating geometry in real time on a Radeon RX 7900 XTX with no
Real time,
pre-stored
bro.
models. The demo showcased a
No more models for trees are needed in
forest
video
at
games.
1080p with dynamic seasonal changes and wind effects, maintaining detail
Fucking wind effects, bro. I can't do that. I can't do
without
wind
popping
effects.
issues. Traditional methods require storing large polygonal meshes, but this
Yeah, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck, guys? Polygon? Bro, throw that away. No more polygon. Clearly that was stupid.
approach
This whole
uses a
time it was
compact
stupid, bro.
51 kilobyte algorithm to create gigabytes worth of data.
I have problems with this, though. Now, this guy claims 686. Nuh-uh.
It's 2.57.
No. What is that, AMD? What is that? Angry modern demon. What is that? 666, bro? It doesn't sit well with me, bro. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I can't survive this number, guys. You know how it feels. They nuked trees 666,000 times. Oh no. Okay, let me explain what's going on, basically, and how it relates to my rendering engine. Unfortunately, my rendering engine takes up 3 fucking gigabytes of actual RAM. I don't know what the fuck VRAM is, to be honest. I've never... What? First time I hear about it, guys. I really don't know. VRAM. Is that the thing that makes people load worlds for 2 minutes? Just to remind you guys that I also don't like polygons. And these trees are not made out of polygons, they're made of blocks. And block data is very simple. Wow. And I'm not talking about like tiny blocks, this is just a shader. Alright, it's big blocks. And I still need 3 gigabytes of RAM for some reason. I don't know, man, Unity fucking is weird about that. Measuring VRAM impact of trees, I wish something most people don't think about. Yeah, because I don't even know, as not most people, but I don't even know what VRAM is. First time I fucking heard it because of this article. Some kind of video RAM, like virtual RAM, I would imagine. But it says video RAM. What? And it's like, to me, it just sounds like a bunch of, you know, just a texture folder. The quick access texture folder. VRAM versus RAM. What the fuck is the difference? Tell me, bro. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. The question is like, do I have access to seeing how much VRAM I use? What? What do you mean? Yeah. I know GPU, but like, I'm supposed to see stuff? Usage graphs? What? Bro, it's like 4 gigabytes being used. This is my, rendering engine. Fucking stole like 2 gigabytes or something. How the fuck you reduce that? What are you talking about? Granted, textures. Alright. I have quite a few textures, technically, loaded in. Not 2 gigabytes, so I don't know what the fuck. But again, this resembling ray tracing, it felt pretty satisfying. And it resembles ray tracing because you're running away from polygons, but in actuality, they probably still remake the polygons anyways. Because that's just what you do.
Data on the fly. This technology
They just don't have polygonal data.
could benefit games and applications with limited
So to be honest, I'm deleting my comment, guys. I don't believe in it anymore.
VRAM, potentially reducing reliance.
Partially where the new shirt comes from, though don't forget that 8 GB has been in low-end GPUs for years now, so it's more on hardware makers in my mind. But regardless, AMD looks to have just single-handedly solved this issue in games. As you can see right down here in this new article from Tom's Hardware, it says measuring the VRAM impact of trees isn't something most people think about while gaming, but AMD researchers have figured out a way to reduce the VRAM footprint of 3D tree rendering by a whopping 666,352 times. It says they've actually developed procedural tree generation with work graphs and mesh nodes to optimize tree rendering on video memory. So to demonstrate this, the AMD researchers showcased a 3D rendered scene that required only 51 kilobytes of data to generate. But here's the wild thing. If the scene was rendered in traditional geometry today, it would require a whopping 34.8 gigabytes of video memory, meaning they took a scene that would normally require 34.8 gigabytes and brought it all the way down to 51 kilobytes. Yeah, a massive, massive difference. As you can see here, it says this new VRAM saving technique leverages a procedural generation technique that eliminates the need for a 3D geometry format altogether, meaning instead of storing in video memory every leaf, every trunk, every piece of the tree, what they do is they just essentially save how to make a tree and then they just generate.
Yeah, we're finally going that direction, basically. Procedural generation is like Minecraft did it first. Procedural generation of terrain. But now it's applicable to literally any mesh you could imagine, starting with trees. Trees!
In real time. It's
No more
procedurally
trees,
generated.
mate.
And the wild thing, you're probably thinking, okay, yes, don't get me wrong, trees do take a lot of memory, but that's not everything to a game. Well, here's the fun part.
Fucking bitch, trees.
Because trees aren't the only object that can be rendered with this paradigm. It says we can expect other objects and possibly even textures to be rendered this way in the future. NVIDIA is already working on neural texture compression to reduce texture demands on video memory, but work graphs and mesh nodes provide another method of achieving the same goal. And if they can do anything with this like they did with the trees, we seriously could look at some massive drops in VRAM requirements. Of course, game developers would still have to use this and implement it, but the fact that this is even a possibility and the fact that it's such a massive difference is absolutely promising and could seriously reduce the amount of future games required when it comes to VRAM.
Reduce future games?
That it's such a massive difference. VRAM.
The last sentence was pretty weird, but that's just the direction we go in. We just gave an L to polygons, you know, so we don't want to store polygons no more. Fuck those guys. Literally the only two people that broke down the news at the moment, and now it includes me.